Another thing that I want you to spend some time practicing every day is his stays. So there's going to be a couple of really important concepts to remember with stays. I know I've said it before, but remember, anytime you ask him to do something, that stay is implied. Sit, down, anything. He should keep doing it until we release him. If you let him get away with getting up or moving or doing something else before you release him, those stays are never going to be good because there's no rules for him. There's no start and end. How is he supposed to know when he's done staying or not? So I want you to make sure that every time you ask him to sit, every time you ask him to down, you make sure you release him with either yes, break, or some other command. Master, good boy. Sit. One thing that you can be not so picky about is if he lays down on the sit. Nope. Good boy. If he does that, I don't really care. He's still stationary, he's still in one spot, that's fine with me. This is something that's going to be really useful for our leash skills. Because if he gets up, I'm going to tell him no, and I'm going to use the leash to get him back into whatever position he was supposed to be in. Good. This is also the exercise where our goods are going to come into play. Because good means what you're doing is correct. There's going to be a reward, either a pat in the head or some treats. But only if you continue doing what you're currently doing. It's a reward for staying. It doesn't release you. It just means keep at it. What you're currently doing is correct. Good. So even if I tell him good and have the treat out here, I don't want him getting up and coming to my hand to get it. Good. Good is contingent on the fact that he continues doing what he was doing when I said good. So if he gets up, I'm going to tell him nope, nope. And that treat goes away. That good stops until he sits again or downs again or does whatever he was supposed to do. Now, I don't want you getting stuck in a bunch of repetitions of just telling him good and giving him a treat every second. He doesn't need a treat every 2 seconds for laying down or sitting. That being said, he is a puppy. Puppies do not have the best stays no matter how much you work on them. That'll come with time and age and consistency in your practice. So I'm not going to expect him to stay for 10, 20 minutes. Even 5 minutes might be a struggle with him at first. So when we're doing this, I'll want to reward periodically, let him know that he's good, he should keep going. Maybe every 30 seconds, every minute. Good. I'll give him a treat. And as time goes on, he gets more reliable. I'm not going to need to do that so much, or I don't want to do that so much. I just want him staying. Good. So I'm going to use good for longer and longer periods of duration of him staying. So that's one of the main things you're going to be working on with stays, is the length of time that he'll stay for. So the duration of time that he'll stay is a very important thing to work on. The other ways that we can add challenges in stays is distance. And by that, I mean the distance we are from him while still expecting him to stay. So with the leash on him, I'm going to drop it. I'm going to walk away. And this is another challenge, right? The farther I am away from him, the more he might see it really easy to get up and wander off, or the less he's really focused on me and less paying attention to what he's supposed to be doing. And the harder it is for him to kind of maintain this if I'm far away from him. Good. So for distance, I'll practice moving in a circle around him. That tends to be pretty hard for him, especially if he's in an area where he's kind of distracted already. If I move behind him, he sometimes wants to flip up and look at me. Nope. He's getting bored, so he's nibbling on me. I'm gonna ignore that. You know, he's a puppy, they nibble. If I get really upset about it, you know, he's gonna escalate. I want him just to understand that it's not gonna work on me. You can't, nibbling doesn't get me to go away or stop asking to do stuff. He's also reaching the end of his attention span. Damn, he's getting pretty bored because we've been doing this for a while. So you can keep that in mind too. If he's really struggling, it might not be worth it to keep forcing it. You know, I want him to down for a little bit so that he knows that he has to do it, even if he doesn't want to, but it might not be the best time to practice our stays. You know, I might want to do it when he's a little bit fresher and he's not so bored. Nope. Oh, he's not trying to do zoomies. Break. You got it. Come on, let's go. Come on, Esther. There you go. Good boy. So, in addition to distance and duration, those are 2 challenges. We'll want to do those separately, right? I don't want to walk 20 feet away from him and expect him to stay, nope, for 10 minutes. When we start on our longer stays, I want to be close to him so I can correct really easily. When I do distance, I want to be quick, walk away, good, come back and reward. Over time, obviously we can add these things in together, but again, he's a baby, right? He can't do these things very long. He just doesn't have the brain for it. Now the last thing that we'll want to add when we're practicing stays is distractions. And so distractions can be a lot of things. It can be us squatting down in front of him. Good. It can be us patting his head. Good. It can be picking up the leash, taking a step forward. Nope. Good. What's really challenging for him that I want you to specifically practice is somebody knocking on the door. And so you can just fool him, right? I have a little bit of a wood armchair behind me. Good. I can just make the knocking noise and reward him for staying. When you have another helper, I would recommend having somebody go around back, knock on the door, open the door, and come inside. And you can be right next to him. Again, we don't want to have distance, distraction, duration all at the same time to start with. So you'll want to be right next to him so you can very easily get him back into a down without having to chase him around or be very confrontational with him. I would prefer to have a second person going and knocking and coming in, and you can be here and enforce that down. Or sit, or whatever you're trying to work on. Good. Sitting in a chair can be a distraction. We're very close to him and he'll want to come get in our laps. Like sitting on the couch is pretty hard for him. Having a plate of food out, nope, can be challenging for him. So all of those are things that you can throw in. I would recommend keeping a list, trying different things, and when you find stuff that's easy for him, you can check it off the list. When there's stuff that still challenges him, nope, down. Make a point to try to practice that every day. You might find you need to make it a little bit easier, you know, like knocking on the door. You can start with just knocking on the door, coming back and rewarding. And then have somebody come and open the door without knocking, and then reward him. And then build up to knocking and coming in, and then build up to knocking, you going up away from him to open the door, and somebody coming inside. So there's stages of all these challenges. You don't want to go to the end stage if he's really struggling. Try to figure out how you can break it down into little steps for him. Good. Yes. So usually I'll use by goods anytime I add a new challenge that's hard for him. Once it gets to be easy, you can stop doing lots of goods. But once things still challenging for him, I want to make sure that I'm letting him know that he's doing the correct thing. And to do that, I can tell him good. That lets him know that he's right, and he should stick with it. Once it gets easy, we can switch to not having to reward him so much for every little thing. Good boy.